So, as we did in the past, we are actually joining the Q&A of this talk and the next one. But, so I will say something. Je vais essayer. Hola. El próximo speaker, el organizador de la conferencia más importante de iOS en el mundo. Well, I will finish with that. So actually, next speaker is actually the organizer of the conference, which is, I think, the greatest conference on iOS in the world, I guess. And I've been lucky to be there. And I think that NS Spain was the inspiration for most conferences that came out later, and FrenchKit between them. But, you know, Luis is not just the organizer of that, he's also a great developer. And it's, for some reason, he didn't, I mean, it's been like kind of a long time, he didn't give us a speech and a talk about technical things, but actually he's more than able to. So our bet was to have Luis on stage today and to talk about something he likes, which is SwiftUI navigation and his feedback on that. By the way, how many of you have been to the NS Spain? Because I've been there. All right. Great. I think those of you who didn't go there, actually, it's absolutely worth the journey. It's not in a capital, which is a great thing. I mean, we like Paris, of course, but the thing is that it's a very nice city in Spain, the northeast. Not very easy to get there, but when you get there, it's absolutely worth the journey, and it's one of the greatest environment and atmospheres that you can have at a conference. So, is that? Je suis pas en train de meubler, pas du tout. So, do you have any jokes? All right. So this is actually the last talk for today. So, of course, we have a panel just after, and of course, be sure to stick here just after the talk for the panel, and also to take part to the party, which starts at 7 p.m. So, anything is ready, really? So, please welcome on stage, Luis.
Bonsoir, everyone. ¿Cómo se va? Thank you so much, Simon, for that great introduction. It's really nice to be here on this stage. It's my first time at FrenchKit. I've always wanted to come. You know, it's great to have conferences in Europe, and I would like to go to all of them. But it's also super hard because also my conference happens the same month, right? It was two weeks ago. So yeah, they've been doing a great job doing this conference, and I just want to ask for a big round of applause for Simon, Julian, Greg, and the rest of the team. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time. Let's start. SwiftUI navigation. So as we all know, you know, Apple always do like great things. Everything's perfect. Everything can be decoupled, and it works out of the box through all the platforms, right? Well, they always talk about the promised land, but it's not always the case, right? Sometimes the reality is very different from what we have to work with, right? I'm Luis Ascorbe. I'm a software engineer at Ultimate Money, and I also organize a conference in Spain called NS Spain. So what are we going to see today? I said we don't have much time, so I tried to, you know, do like a broad topic on how we can navigate with SwiftUI. So we have navigation with UIKit, actually, but working with SwiftUI. We have navigation with SwiftUI, and I'm going to say like my take on which one you can use depending on your situation, because in software, it depends always. So Swift navigation with UIKit. Because SwiftUI is great. You've seen it with Thomas, right? Every time, if you try SwiftUI, every time you start a new view, you just want to use it out of the box. It's great. It's super fast. It's a joy, as Thomas said. And I totally agree. It's a great tool. But you have to really know how to take one way or the other. So if we want to go the UIKit route for navigation, we have to know about UI hosting controller, which is something you already saw on Donnie's talk before. But I'm going to explain it real quick. So imagine you have like a SwiftUI view. And then if you want to use it from UIKit, you will just like pass it as a parameter to the UI hosting controller, and then you can present it from UIKit. Now, let's say you want to decouple your logic from your view. It's quite easy with the observe object, and then the view object will look something like this. So it conforms to observable object, and then you can use publish properties to inform the view that something has changed, and then the view is going to redraw itself, right? So the theory is that SwiftUI is smart enough to make a diff between the different models that it has to present, and it won't redraw the parts that didn't change, right? Let's see a real case, a real life use case. I worked before Ultimate, I worked at Beams FM. We were trying to build a social network, but like a new concept of audio, right? So we were trying to create a platform where you will post your voice, and then people will just hear you. So it was like kind of micro podcasting. It was like this concept that was coming out, and with the wave of Clubhouse and all this stuff. So at some point, we saw that we had this assumption that if the content is more active, then people will be driven by listen more, right? To listen more. So we switch the UI, the player, the main player, to have like a TikTok-like experience to see if that will make people listen to more content and discover more within the app. And I actually built this view, and so what we see on this view is a UI tablet controller, which is the main root component. Then the navigation controller, which is the first controller of the tab. A plain UI view controller that is the first view controller of the navigation controller, which acts like as a wrapper because you can switch between the for you and the following on the view. And then 2 page view controllers, so you can switch between 2 of them to scroll up and down and see more content. And then each one of them will have the child views that are actually UI hosting controllers, which use a SwiftUI view inside. So in this view, everything you are seeing, except the back button and the tab bar, is SwiftUI, because all the interaction, everything that we show on the screen was made with SwiftUI because it was just way easier, right? It has like dynamic captions here on the right, on the left, and all the interaction, all these buttons, all these tab and animations was much more easier to build with SwiftUI. Why would we choose this approach? Why we choose UIKit? Well, the thing is that on our app, everything was already built with UIKit, so it was a way, to start using SwiftUI without having to rebuild everything or to just throw everything and then start from zero, right? There is no vertical page view on SwiftUI. We have to build our own. And even though we actually tried using scroll view for this, we had some performance issues, and it was like a lot of code that we have to write. And so we decided to go through the UIKit approach, not only for navigation, but also for scrolling, the scrolling component, and it worked really well. And, well, SwiftUI is a joy to work with. I have to say, this is an important point here, that if you're using UI hosting controller, it has a small problem, which is the introducing constant size is not has a bug, so it doesn't calculate correctly. So sometimes it adds these margins around it, and the way to fix this is like a small. This is a small tip. So you have to subclass UI hosting controller and ask for an update of the constraints. But I'm glad to say this was solved on iOS 16. So you only have to do this on iOS 15 if you support it. Now, I don't know if I'm going too fast. Navigation with SwiftUI. Right. So on SwiftUI, we have many APIs, right? We have like a navigation destination, navigation split view, navigation stack, which are all the new things, and all the other and modal views, and navigation view and navigation link. So if we skip the new APIs for a second, and we also like skip the modal APIs, which are like more straightforward to work with, we are left with navigation view and navigation link. And this year, navigation view was actually deprecated. So we are left with navigation link to start with. Let's go with navigation link. So the way you will use it is very straightforward. You will, put it on your view inside navigation stack or navigation view, and then whenever someone, taps on it, it will go to the SwiftUI view you have there. It's really easy to work with, but you have to have something important in mind, which is if in SwiftUI, your views have to be really lightweight, right? So your inits should have like the minimum code possible, because, for example, this code is going to print init whenever French view is presented on a screen, not even Bonjour view, right? So you have to be really mindful of this. It's a way of thinking. SwiftUI that you have to take into consideration. It doesn't happen with modal views, but the SwiftUI team recommends that you take care of having a really, really lightweight init on your view. And the thing is that this code is great if your app is small, but it doesn't, it's hard to decouple. I tried it. With the Swift UI version, I tried, this concept of using coordinators to extract all the logic of the views, and it kind of worked. But as soon as SwiftUI 2 with iOS 14, I think, was out, it stopped working, and it's actually not meant to work with SwiftUI, right? SwiftUI has another way of more reactive. So please don't use MVP with SwiftUI. It has other kind of architecture which is more meant for SwiftUI. Talking about architecture, yeah. So. Talking about architecture, let's jump on to the new APIs, in which Apple, architecture is such a big topic that Apple decided to rewrite the whole navigation to be able to decouple things. So they presented, this year, navigation stack with navigation destination. So now you can actually have navigation links. and then you just pass the value, and then you navigate there through navigation destination. So yeah, you will have a navigation link, which you can pass the value. In this case, you can say bonjour. And then through navigation destination, you get the value you want to go through, and then present the view you want to get on a screen. Right? Very nice. Is a good way to decouple the interaction with the actual value that you want to use, and the part of the path, which is actually also an interesting topic to talk about, because it's very broad, is quite easy to get through. You can actually use any kind of type or object you want to with the path, and it will work almost out of the way. I don't have more time to dig into the new APIs, but I'm glad to say I don't have to, because 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry for the shameless promo, but Brandon Williams 2 weeks ago did a great talk at NS Spain, which is SwiftUI navigation with URL routing. And in here, he really goes through what's the navigation, how it works, and how to work around the actual APIs and the new APIs. And he even implemented with a few demos how to delink and use URL routing in it. I just published the videos like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago. So it was available already for my talk. And yeah, you have the link here at the bottom if you want to check it out. It's a really good talk, so shout out to Brandon. And yeah, talking about Brandon, I am good on time, yes. The composable architecture. I don't know if you all know it, but Brandon works as part of the Point 3 team with Stephen Celius. And between them and the community, they created this library, which by their definition is a library for building application in a consistent and understandable way, with composition, testing, and ergonomics in mind. It can be used in SwiftUI, UIKit, and more, and on any Apple platform, iOS, macOS, tvOS, and watchOS. So if you don't know about it, I totally encourage you to try it out. It's great. Actually, now comes another real-life use case, which is the company I'm working at right now, which is Ultimate Money. So we are creating we are making a non-custodial crypto wallet and on the Solana blockchain. So this app is all built with SwiftUI, with the composable architecture, and everything is reactive. And yeah, it's actually a joy to work with both of them, SwiftUI and the composable architecture. At the beginning, you have to get your way around how things work and how to know how to work around all the signals. But as soon as you get used to it, it's a game changer. Now, which one to choose, right? And it's not mainly like which one to choose, but which one you should consider, right? So I would say that you should consider navigation. I mean, if you want to use your SwiftUI, we're talking about SwiftUI. If you want to use SwiftUI in your project and you want to consider UIKit, then you have already a project in which you are working on and is using UIKit. You want to decouple navigation logic from the views because in SwiftUI, that's actually pretty hard right now. Maybe with the new APIs, but if you have to support previous iOS versions, it's still a bit of a nightmare. You want to try SwiftUI, and you cannot switch your architecture right now because that's a big one. Then I would say that you can consider navigation with SwiftUI if you are trying something out, you want to play with the composite architecture, things like that. I have to say that in this app we are working on right now, we still haven't worked our way around the new APIs, so we are still using the old ones. So yeah, it's a big change if you want to start using SwiftUI navigation compared to UIKit if you are already used to it. Maxi. Yeah.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Luis.
Yes.
Moves. Okay. And Thomas as well.
Okay, so it works. You can sit down actually. Yeah, there is just three chairs.
I
Yeah.
can stand with you.
Okay. Oh wow, thank you.
And I'm the only one sitting. Okay, that feels weird. Okay.
You're the oldest one, so yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Actually.
So thank you very much. The first questions, I guess, I won't ask if SwiftUI is production ready because I think I understood what you meant, but it's a kind of the same thing. Would you actually do the same statement that Apple did at the WWDC? So that SwiftUI is absolutely the way to go, and there is no going back.
When making new projects, I mean, I would not make a new project in UIKit these days, but it's also dependent of what you're building. We have part in the app of in UIKit, but that we don't plan to change right now because we don't have the SwiftUI API for that. So it's really dependent on what you will build. But if you start a new project today, you should really consider SwiftUI unless you have some specific feature that you know that you can't build with it.
What about you?
Well, I showed two real case scenarios. So for me, SwiftUI is totally production, ready for production.
If you had to go back and just pick one mistake you wouldn't do again on SwiftUI, what would that be?
Use SwiftUI navigation.
Yeah, I have a big SwiftUI project, open source project. I will never rewrite using the new navigation. Just too much change right now. But maybe also using it during iOS 13, I guess, and 14. I mean, the iOS 14 minimum target is great right now. Below that, I think it was a bit of maybe too early because we had to test it a lot on devices to be sure that it was running the same as on the simulator.
Okay.
So we have people writing SwiftUI for several years now, and even among those people who haven't written UIKit before. Do you think we will make old dad jokes soon, like, oh, remember UIKit, as we say, remember Objective-C nowadays?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I was talking before during the coffee break with Samuel and Leonard, and we were talking about how things seem to be all the time broken now. But the reality was and this was Samuel's point. The reality is being always like that. There is always a new API, and then you cannot use it because you have to wait 2 years to use it because you have to support previous versions. And it happened with everything Apple releases, and for sure this is the case. The problem is that navigation in a specific is so coupled to what you're doing that it's really hard to work around it, right? If you're using core data, you can just write a wrapper and put it away, and then just run whatever you want. But navigation is not really an option.
Another interesting question was: is anybody finally using introspection to work around things?
So we use it only at Medium. We use it only for testing. So because we test like the final value inside, text, for example, or inside images. That's how we do test with Introspect. But we don't want to use it in production because iOS, any iOS version could break it if it changes the underlying and actually, since iOS 16, more and more components don't use like UIKit and the underlying component. So yeah.
Yeah, same. Actually, we were using a few things with introspection because it's really hard to customize some things in SwiftUI because at the end it works with UIKit behind the hood. So if the SwiftUI API doesn't give you access to that, then you have to use UIKit, right? And then you have to use appearance with UIKit. And then some appearance does work, and some appearance does not work. So you have to introspect the view to change whatever you want. And at the end, some of these changes were so cumbersome that we decided to just go with what the system was delivering. In this case, I mean, for example, there was I think if you use the searchable modifier from iOS 15 and you want to change the appearance of the font of the search box, it doesn't work. If you do it with the appearance on UIKit, it works. On SwiftUI, it doesn't. So you can introspect and then change it, which sometimes also doesn't work, but yeah, we decided to just go with the system font in this case.
Speaking about SwiftUI, is something that SwiftUI finally brought to the Apple ecosystem is that we are finally actually using real components and kind of like getting ourselves more and more close to the possibility of doing real atomic design. Do you do that in your app? I mean, do you actually apply atomic design? And in case you do you have any feedback or any advices for people who want it to be full atomic?
We do. I mean, not like really like atomic. We don't have like molecules and atoms, and it doesn't scale up with a lot of things. But we do use it with buttons, for example, and we heavily use button styles. So all our buttons are decomposed on button styles, and you have just to say, okay, this button style is this, and then it will take that form, and it's pretty nice, I have to say.
In the Medium, we had a design system that we use for UIKit, both all Objective-C code and also modern Swift UIKit. And we don't really, we do a lot of view modifier on top of existing view. We create a lot of components, but we are, like I would not say we are not fully atomic. We do a lot of customization, like with one modifier we can apply, a whole system, like design rules on components. That's how we do it. We don't essentially wrap and create our own custom component, and we should use a button configuration, but for now, our design system is not like that.
It's very powerful, I have to say.
We would love to have more questions, but we are a bit under a time constraint, sadly. So we will wrap things up now. Thank you guys for your
Thank you very much.
Thank you.